September 8, 2018, Arthur Ashe Stadium, New York City. The air is thick with tension. 90 degrees of brutal summer heat pressed down on 23,000 spectators, but no one moves. No one breathes. The greatest tennis player of all time stands at the baseline, sweat dripping from her brow, muscles coiled like a panther ready to strike. You've been here before, 23 times in fact. 23 Grand Slam singles titles, more than any other player in the Open era. But this moment, this US Open final, feels different, heavier, more personal. Across the net stands Naomi Osaka, a 20-year-old phenom who grew up idolizing you. In a few moments, controversy will erupt. Umpire Carlos Ramos will issue warnings, penalties, and the crowd will descend into chaos. Headlines will scream your name for all the wrong reasons. But right now, in this frozen second before the serve, you remember everything. The cracked public courts of Compton, California, where gang violence erupted just yards away while you practiced your backhand. The skeptics who said two black girls from the hood would never conquer the whitest sport in America. The injuries that nearly destroyed your body. The blood clots that almost killed you. You remember Venus, your sister, your first opponent, your eternal champion. Your racket feels like an extension of your soul. Your legs burn. Your heart pounds. How did a girl from Compton become the most dominant force tennis has ever witnessed? How did you survive the racism, the scrutiny, the impossible expectations, and still rise? This is the story of Serena Williams. You were born on September 26, 1981, in Saginaw, Michigan, the youngest of 5 sisters. Before you could walk, your family relocated to Compton, California, a neighborhood where survival was never guaranteed, where the crack epidemic ravaged communities, and where dreams went to die. Your father, Richard Williams, worked as a security guard. Your mother, Oracene Price, labored as a nurse. Together, they scraped together every penny, working multiple jobs, sacrificing vacations, new clothes, and simple comforts. They had a plan so audacious, so seemingly impossible, that everyone who heard it laughed. Richard Williams decided his daughters would become tennis champions. He had no tennis background, no connections to country clubs, no money for elite academies. He learned the sport by watching instructional videos, reading library books, and studying footage of the greats. You were 4 years old when you first gripped a tennis racket. The courts at East Compton Park were cracked and littered with broken glass. Gang members gathered nearby, their activities providing a constant backdrop of danger. Yet there you stood, hour after hour, hitting ball after ball alongside Venus. Daddy said we'd be number 1 and number 2 in the world, you'd later recall. People thought he was crazy. Richard Williams collected over 70 shopping carts full of old tennis balls from local clubs. He built a practice schedule so rigorous that by age 9, you were hitting 500 serves daily. Your mother drove you to junior tournaments, packing sandwiches because restaurant meals were luxuries you couldn't afford. Compton shaped you. The violence, the poverty, the constant struggle, it forged something unbreakable inside your chest. When you were watching television one evening, your sister Yetunde ran inside screaming. Gunshots had erupted outside. You learned early that life was precious and uncertain. At the East Compton courts, older kids mocked your braided hair and colorful beads. At predominantly white junior tournaments, parents pulled their children away from you and Venus, their contempt barely concealed. You felt their stares, you heard their whispers. They don't belong here, but your father never wavered. He pulled you and Venus out of the junior tennis circuit entirely when you were just 10 years old, convinced that the racist environment and cutthroat politics were damaging. Instead, he homeschooled you both and intensified training. People called him delusional. Scouts dismissed the Williams sisters as a novelty act. Tennis experts predicted you'd fade into obscurity without competitive junior experience. In those moments of doubt, late at night in your small bedroom, you wondered if they were right. Maybe this dream was too big. Maybe Compton kids weren't meant for country clubs and center court. But then morning came, and you picked up the racket again. The road upward was paved with rejection. In 1991, your family moved to Florida so you and Venus could train at Rick Maxey's prestigious tennis academy. Maxey was initially skeptical until he witnessed something extraordinary. He later described watching you at age 10. This kid hit balls with an anger and determination I'd never seen. It was almost frightening. Still, the tennis establishment remained unconvinced. You were too muscular, too powerful, too different. The sport demanded graceful baseline play, not the explosive athleticism you possessed. Commentators questioned whether your game had finesse. Critics scrutinized your hair, your outfits, your very existence. Venus turned professional in 1994. You followed in 1995 at just 14 years old. Your debut at the Bell Challenge in Quebec ended in a first-round loss. The headlines were dismissive. Hyped, Williams' sister falls flat. For 2 years, you lived in Venus's shadow. She was the refined one, the graceful one, the one the media deemed acceptable. You were the other sister, aggressive, emotional, harder to market. In 1997, at the Ameritech Cup in Chicago, something shifted. Ranked 304th in the world, you defeated 7th-ranked Mary Pierce and 4th-ranked Monica Seles, back-to-back. The tennis world gasped. Who is this girl? You were 16 years old, and suddenly, everyone knew your name. But the breakthrough you craved, a Grand Slam title, remained elusive. You watched Venus reach finals, capture attention, while you battled injuries and inconsistency. Some whispered that you lacked the mental fortitude for the biggest stages. Then came 1999. The U.S. Open. You tore through the draw with merciless precision. Martina Hingis, the world #1, awaited in the final. She had dismissed you publicly, calling your family's confidence arrogance. Under the lights of Arthur Ashe Stadium, you destroyed her, 6-3, 7-6. Your serve thundered at speeds no woman had ever consistently achieved. Your returns were missiles. Your celebration, falling to your knees, hands covering your face, became iconic. 17 years old, Grand Slam champion, the first African-American woman to win a major since Althea Gibson in 1958. Richard Williams wept in the stands. Your mother embraced Venus, who would soon face her own destiny. The girl from Compton had silenced every doubter. The headlines couldn't ignore you now. What followed was the most dominant stretch women's tennis had ever witnessed. Between 2002 and 2003, you achieved something unprecedented, the Serena Slam, holding all 4 Grand Slam titles simultaneously. You defeated Venus in 4 consecutive major finals. The French Open, Wimbledon, the U.S. Open, the Australian Open, all yours. No woman had accomplished this in over a decade. Your rivalry with Venus transcended sport. 2 black sisters from Compton, facing each other in Grand Slam finals, hugging at the net while the world watched in awe. You'd battled together against a sport that never wanted you, and now you owned it. Your game was revolutionary. Where other players emphasized precision, you weaponized power. Your serve, regularly exceeding 125 miles per hour, was the fastest in women's history. Your forehand generated impossible angles. Your movement, for a woman your size, defied physics. At Wimbledon's center court, the hallowed grounds of tennis aristocracy, you won 7 singles titles, more than any other woman in the Open era except Martina Navratilova. You owned that grass, that tradition, that history. The rivalries defined an era. Maria Sharapova, the elegant Russian prodigy, faced you 19 times in her career. She won twice. Twice. Against everyone else, Sharapova was a champion. Against you, she was helpless. Justine Henin, with her balletic one-handed backhand, pushed you to 5 sets, 3-set battles that left crowds breathless. Victoria Azarenka, Caroline Wozniacki, Simona Halep, they all rose to world #1. They all fell before you. Your mental fortitude was superhuman. Down match point at the 2003 Australian Open semi-final against Kim Clijsters, you fought back screaming, clawing, refusing to die. I will not lose, you told yourself. You didn't. By 2013, at age 31, when most players considered retirement, you returned to world #1 for the first time in years. Tennis analysts were stunned. You won the French Open, the U.S. Open, and announced to the world that your story was far from finished. 23 Grand Slam singles titles, 73 career singles titles, 319 weeks at world number one, numbers that may never be matched. But greatness does not come without cost. In 2003, tragedy struck your family with devastating force. Your sister Yetunde, your beloved eldest sibling, was shot and killed in Compton, the very neighborhood that shaped you. She was just 31 years old. The violence you'd escaped had claimed someone you loved. You spiraled. The grief consumed you. Your ranking plummeted outside the top 100. Critics declared your career over. Then came the injuries. In 2010, you stepped on broken glass at a restaurant in Munich, severing tendons in your foot. Just as you recovered, blood clots formed in your lungs, pulmonary embolism. You nearly died. Doctors told you that playing tennis again was uncertain. For months, you lay in hospital beds, wondering if you'd ever compete again. The silence was deafening. No crowd roaring, no racket in hand, just fear and fragility. I thought maybe God was telling me it was over, you admitted later. The public scrutiny never relented. When you returned to Indian Wells in 2001 after a controversial withdrawal, the crowd booed you relentlessly. You heard racial slurs hurled from the stands. Your father was threatened. You refused to return to that tournament for 14 years. The 2018 U.S. Open final brought fresh wounds. Umpire Carlos Ramos penalized you for coaching, then for smashing your racket, then for verbal abuse. You called him a thief. The crowd erupted in chaos. You lost the match to Naomi Osaka, and headlines painted you as a villain. But within the controversy, a deeper truth emerged. Male players had said far worse without consequence. The double standards, the implicit bias, you exposed them all by simply demanding fairness. Through every setback, you clawed back. You always clawed back. What you built transcends tennis. You showed little black girls in Compton, in Detroit, in Houston, in Nairobi, that their dreams were valid, that their bodies, powerful, athletic, unapologetic, were beautiful, that success didn't require permission from gatekeepers who never wanted them there. You changed fashion, launching your own clothing line, strutting onto courts in catsuits and tutus while traditionalists clutched their pearls. You owned your femininity without diminishing your ferocity. You became a mother, welcoming your daughter Olympia in 2017 after life-threatening complications during childbirth. You returned to Grand Slam finals while pumping breast milk between matches. You showed the world that motherhood and greatness could coexist. Your foundation has funded schools in Africa and provided educational opportunities to underprivileged communities worldwide. Your business ventures have shattered glass ceilings, making you one of the wealthiest self-made women in sports. When future generations discuss tennis, your name will anchor the conversation. When historians examine the evolution of women's athletics, your chapter will be the longest. When young athletes face impossible odds, they will remember. Serena Williams proved that impossible was just another obstacle to destroy. You didn't just play tennis. You revolutionized it. You democratized it. You immortalized yourself within it. And so we arrive at the end of this story, though truthfully, it's a story that will never end. Serena Williams taught us that greatness isn't given. It's earned through sweat, tears, sacrifice, and an unshakable belief in yourself when no one else believes. She showed us that circumstances don't define destiny, that Compton courts can lead to Wimbledon glory, that champions are forged in fire. Whatever dreams you're chasing right now, remember this. Every single person who achieved the impossible was once told it couldn't be done. Keep swinging, keep serving, keep fighting. If this documentary moved you, please hit that subscribe button and join our community of over 1 million sports fans. Drop a comment below telling us which athlete should be featured next. And if Serena's story inspired you, smash that like button. It truly helps us reach more dreamers like you. Thank you for watching. Now go, make your own legacy.